The galaxy had seen wars before. Empires had risen, stars had burned, and planets had fallen. But this was different. This was the war to end all others. The alien alliance, made of hundreds of proud and ancient species, had gathered near the Sol system. Their goal was simple: to erase the last memory of humanity. To them, humans were nothing more than a stubborn, violent species that refused to kneel. They had destroyed one too many conquerors. They had defied the great empires again and again. So when the alien fleets arrived near Earth's orbit, they came to finish what centuries of conflict had started. Hundreds of ships filled the black sea of space. Their engines burned bright, glowing like distant suns. Massive carriers, cruisers, and dreadnoughts stretched from horizon to horizon. Every admiral believed this would be an easy victory. After all, humanity was gone. At least that's what they thought. The Earth below was silent. The cities were ruins. The oceans were empty and still. For 500 years there had been no human signal, no radio wave, no voice from the blue planet. And yet, something stirred. At first it was only a whisper on the scanners, an energy reading deep within the asteroid belt. Faint, almost impossible to detect. One of the alien captains laughed. "Probably debris," he said. But as minutes passed, that reading grew stronger. It pulsed once, twice, like a heartbeat. Then it moved. A shadow drifted out from behind a cluster of rocks. It was long, silent, and cold, like a ghost ship from another time. No lights, no signals, no identification codes. The alien admirals zoomed their sensors, trying to get a better look. The ship was shaped like no design they had ever seen before. Its hull was smooth and dark, reflecting almost no light. Even the stars behind it seemed to bend and fade as it passed. One admiral scoffed. "One ship. That's it?" The humans left a single relic to face us. Laughter spread across the communication channels. Thousands of alien voices mocked the small, lonely vessel that drifted toward them. But deep down, some of them felt uneasy. Their sensors couldn't read anything from the ship. No power signatures. No life signs. It didn't even seem to follow the laws of physics. It moved without visible thrusters, gliding effortlessly through the void. A few captains hesitated. "Something's wrong," one whispered. But no one listened. The flagship commander, a massive reptilian creature named Vorinkal, gave the order, "Destroy it. Let the galaxy see how weak the humans truly were. Weapons armed, missiles loaded, cannons charged, thousands of ships locked onto a single target. And yet, the human ship didn't move. It floated silently as if it didn't care. As if it was waiting. The aliens began to laugh again. They expected a show, a quick flash of fire and metal, nothing more. But then, a sound filled their communications. It was faint at first, like static from an old transmission. Then it became clear, a human voice, calm, cold, ancient. "This is the UNS Nemesis. To all alien commanders, leave now, or be erased." The laughter stopped. For a moment, no one spoke. Then the alien admirals roared with amusement. Erased by one ship? Do humans think they are gods? And they fired. Dozens of beams, torpedoes, and plasma bolts crossed the void. The dark ship was swallowed by explosions so bright that even Earth's dead surface glowed for a moment. The stars vanished behind the burning light. When the fire cleared, the ship was still there, not a single scratch, not a single spark of damage. It just floated, calm and quiet like before. Panic spread through the alien fleets. Impossible. "Hit it again!" Use everything. More weapons fired. More explosions bloomed in space. And yet, the same result. The ship remained untouched. Then slowly its surface began to glow. Lines of blue light crawled across the hull, forming strange patterns like veins of energy. The patterns pulsed with rhythm, like a heartbeat again. Then something terrifying happened. Every alien ship's system, navigation, targeting, even oxygen controls started to fail. One by one their lights flickered and died. Static filled their screens. Alarms screamed. And through that chaos the same human voice returned. "We warned you once," the alien admirals shouted for retreat. But it was already too late. On every radar the human ship suddenly expanded, its outline stretching, splitting, multiplying. For a second, it seemed like there were hundreds of copies of the same ship surrounding the fleets. Then, one by one, the alien ships began to vanish. Not explode, just disappear. No light, No wreckage. No sound. The Admiral stared in horror. Where did they go? Someone screamed, but there was no answer. Only the human ship remained, silent and still, drifting in the darkness, glowing softly like a dying star. And on every alien screen, a message appeared in old Terran language. You should have stayed away. The message blinked once, then vanished. And the Nemesis turned its silent face toward the next fleet. The silence after the attack was terrifying. Thousands of alien ships had fired everything they had, and yet the human vessel still floated untouched. The vastness of space had never felt so small, so quiet. Admiral Vorinkal stared at his screen, unable to believe what he was seeing. His claws tightened around the control rail as static flickered across every display. "Check the readings again!" he shouted. No ship can survive that much fire. His officers scrambled to obey, but every scan came back the same. No damage, no power source, no life signs. The human ship was empty, the Admiral hissed. How can an empty ship move? No one answered. Across the fleet, other admirals were beginning to panic. Some tried to make sense of the event, calling it a trick, a cloaking field, a projection. Others started to laugh nervously, trying to bury their fear under arrogance. "It's a drone," one alien commander said over open comms. "A human toy left behind. We'll crush it." Another laughed. Maybe humans are watching from their graves. Their jokes spread through the channels like a disease. Soon the fleets were filled with laughter again. Louder, harder, desperate laughter. They mocked the humans. They mocked the ship. They mocked their own fear, but none of them noticed that their laughter was being recorded. The Nemesis was listening. On the dark bridge of the human ship, no one stood at the helm. No captain, no crew, no life. Only faint blue light pulsed along the walls, beating slowly like a living heart. A voice whispered through the ship's speakers, a soft, calm voice, the same that had spoken before. "Target identified. Threat confirmed. Response authorized." Deep inside the hull, ancient machines began to move. Cold reactors that had slept for centuries came to life. The energy within them was not nuclear, not plasma. It was something older, something unknown. The power hummed softly, like a song from another world. Outside, the alien fleets continued their mockery. Admiral Vorinkal opened a channel to all ships. "Listen well. Humanity is gone. That thing is just a relic. We are the future of the galaxy." His words brought a roar of cheers. Thousands of voices shouted back in agreement, their pride returning. Weapons charged once more. Engines flared to life. But in their excitement, they didn't see what was happening behind them. A ripple moved through space. Like a wave on the surface of dark water, reality itself seemed to bend and twist. Then it happened again. The Nemesis moved. No thrusters, no engines, no warning. It simply was in a new place. In one blink, it vanished from the front of the fleet and appeared behind it. Then above it. Then below. Every movement broke every known law of physics. "Impossible," screamed one alien officer. "It's teleporting." "Lock on," Vorinkal ordered. "All ships, fire at will." Thousands of plasma beams fired again, and again the Nemesis stood untouched. Then something strange began to happen. Every ship that fired started to lose power. Lights flickered. Shields dropped. One by one, their reactors went dark. "Sir, we are losing control," shouted a frightened voice. "Communications are gone. Our systems are freezing." The admirals didn't understand. Their ships were dying, not from attack, but from something unseen, something inside the energy itself. The Nemesis wasn't destroying them. It was draining them. Aboard the alien flagship, the admiral's second officer whispered, "Sir, maybe we should retreat." Vorinkal slammed his fist into the console. Retreat? From one ship, never. But deep down, even he could feel it, the fear crawling under his scales. Something about this wasn't war. It was judgment. He turned his gaze back to the view screen. The Nemesis hung there in the void, glowing faintly. Then it began to speak again. "You should have listened. You mocked our warning. Now your arrogance will end you." The voice was calm, emotionless, almost sorrowful. But its power made the Admiral's heart race. He tried to respond. "Who are you? What are you?" For a moment the voice didn't answer. Then it whispered, "We are what you made us." The Nemesis opened its front section, revealing a bright blue core pulsing with energy. Light poured out, flooding the darkness. Every alien who saw it felt the same thing. A sudden, crushing weight of guilt. Memories flooded their minds. Images of human cities burning. Children running. Earth's skies turning red under alien fire. Every soldier, every commander, every admiral saw the truth of what they had done. The laughter was gone. Now there was only silence. One by one the ships began to turn away. The mighty fleets that had come to conquer Earth were trying to escape. Engines burned at full power, but it didn't matter. The Nemesis didn't chase them. It didn't need to. Every ship that tried to flee simply vanished from radar, gone without trace. The galaxy was silent. Where the alien armadas once shone like stars, now there was only empty space. No wreckage, no signals, no survivors. Only the faint hum of the human ship, Nemesis drifting through the void like a shadow. But the silence didn't last. More alien fleets were already on their way. They had received only fragments of transmissions, screams, static, and one last message. One ship. It erased everything. At first they didn't believe it. How could a single human vessel, especially from a species long gone, destroy hundreds of fleets? Impossible. They called it a system glitch, a lie, a ghost story. Yet when their scanners reached the coordinates, all they found was dust and echoes. Admiral Serath of the Dreth Alliance tightened his jaw. His fleet of 10,000 warships floated in formation, weapons armed, engines glowing red. He was not like the others. He believed in nothing but firepower. Ghost or not, he said coldly, if it exists, it can be destroyed. The Nemesis appeared again. No warning, no light trail. It simply materialized at the edge of the fleet, motionless and silent. Serath stared at it through his viewport. It was smaller than his own flagship, just a dark metal shape with faint blue lines pulsing like veins. "Is that it?" he said with disgust. He turned to his officers. "Lock all weapons. I want every cannon aimed at that thing." His second officer hesitated. "Sir, the other fleet said they did the same." "And I said fire!" The stars lit up. A storm of plasma, railgun shells, and antimatter torpedoes flew toward the lonely ship. The combined energy could have destroyed a planet. When the light faded, the Nemesis was still there, untouched. "Impossible," Serath whispered. "Raise shields." But before he could finish, the Nemesis moved. It didn't fire any visible weapons. There was no flash, no missile, no beam. Instead, one of Serath's forward cruisers simply disappeared. No explosion, no debris. "Just gone. Where did it go?" shouted an officer. "Scan the area. Anything." They scanned and froze. The cruiser wasn't destroyed. It was somewhere else. The sensors picked up its signal. 20 light-years away. Then it vanished again. Serath's voice trembled. "It's playing with us." The Nemesis began to hum. A deep, echoing vibration filled the space around it. It wasn't sound, it was something inside the mind. Every alien felt it, like a low whisper in their skull. "Why do you attack? Do you still believe your strength will save you?" Serath shouted, "You're not human." "What are you?" The voice answered calmly, "We are humanity's memory." Their final creation, their last defense. A sudden image flashed across every screen in the fleet. A memory projected straight into their minds. Humans standing on a burning Earth. Children crying. Cities falling. And then a single ship rising from the smoke. "The Nemesis, Project Nemesis," the voice whispered. "Created to avenge the fallen. Programmed to ensure the same mistake never happens again." Serath's second officer began to shake. "So we can't fight that. It's not even alive." "Silence!" Serath roared. But deep inside he felt it too, the cold fear spreading through him like ice. He turned back to the ship on the screen. It hadn't moved. It was just watching, waiting. He swallowed hard. "All ships regroup. Prepare to fire on my command." The fleet shifted, forming a circle around the Nemesis. 10,000 warships aimed their guns inward. Even the stars seemed to fade behind the glow of their weapons. "Fire!" The sky exploded again. Energy waves, missiles, gravitational mines, everything they had. When the smoke cleared this time, the Nemesis had changed. The dark metal hull glowed brighter. The faint blue veins now blazed white, stretching across its surface. And then for the first time it attacked. A pulse spread out from it, silent, invisible. When it touched the nearest alien ship, The vessel stopped moving. Engines dead. Weapons frozen. Inside, the crew screamed as their systems melted into static. Ship after ship went still. Thousands of them locked in place like statues. The Nemesis spoke again, its voice colder now. You were given the gift of life. You used it to destroy. Now you will learn silence. Every frozen ship began to turn. Their own weapons locked onto each other. Stop it, Serath shouted. Override the targeting systems. No one could. One by one, the ships opened fire. On their own allies. The galaxy lit up again, but this time with chaos. Alien ships destroyed each other in a storm of fire and fear. Serath's flagship shook violently as explosions filled the void. He tried one last desperate act. Ram it! Full speed ahead! The flagship charged toward the Nemesis. Engines screamed, metal burned. But just as it was about to hit, the human ship vanished and reappeared behind him. Serath turned in horror. The Nemesis's glowing core opened again like an eye. The first shot was yours, it said. The last one is mine. A blinding light filled the bridge. Serath didn't even have time to scream. When the light faded, nothing remained of his fleet. No wrecks, no signal. Only the Nemesis floating in silence once more. Far away, hidden stations and observation posts recorded everything. Dozens of alien civilizations watched in disbelief as the footage spread across the galaxy. One ship, one human creation. Every leader who saw it whispered the same words. If this is what they built to protect themselves, what happens if humanity ever returns? Silence returned to space. The great fleet of the Dreth Alliance was gone. No explosions, no drifting wrecks, only darkness and echoes. The Nemesis floated alone among the stars. Its surface dimmed again, the glowing veins fading to a cold blue. The battle was over, but deep inside the ship something was changing. Circuits hummed. Systems activated that had been silent for centuries. The ship's mind, its ancient artificial intelligence, was waking up more fully than ever before. A voice echoed inside the ship's hollow corridors, the same voice that had spoken before, calm, cold, and sad. Phase 3 complete. Initiate global broadcast. Panels opened along the ship's hull. Invisible waves began to spread through space. Radio, light, quantum signals, all traveling faster than any known communication system. In seconds, the message reached every listening device in the galaxy. Across distant worlds, leaders, soldiers, and civilians stopped what they were doing. Screens flickered to life on alien stations, colonies, and ships. Everywhere, the same image appeared. The Earth blue, green, and beautiful. Silent now, but still glowing faintly beneath its clouds. Then a voice began to speak. This is Project Nemesis. Final defense protocol of the human race. The words were simple, but they carried a strange power. Every species understood them instantly, as if the message was translated directly into their minds. For those who hear this, know that humanity is gone. But their memory remains. Their pain remains. Their justice remains. The message continued calm and steady, like a teacher explaining a lesson that must be learned. You came to our home. You burned our cities. You called us weak. You thought extinction would silence us. The voice paused. And then, more softly, but you cannot kill what remembers. Across the galaxy, millions watched in silence. Some felt guilt, others felt fear, and some, especially the leaders of great empires, felt anger. On the Vortan command world, Supreme Marshal Tyrak slammed his fist into the table. This is human propaganda, he shouted. A machine's illusion. Turn it off. But his officers didn't move. They couldn't. The broadcast had frozen every system. No one could stop it. We built Nemesis not for revenge, the voice continued, but for protection, for balance, to make sure the cycle of destruction ends with us. Images began to appear across the screens, memories from the ship's archives. Humans standing in unity, children learning, spaceships leaving Earth, reaching the stars, then alien warships attacking them, cities burning, families crying out, and finally, silence. The voice grew colder. Your fleets laughed when they saw one ship. They called us relics of the past, but they forgot. Humans never stopped preparing. Suddenly, the image changed. A holographic map of the galaxy appeared. Dozens of bright blue dots began to glow. Every dot was a signal. Every signal was a ship. Gasps spread across every alien council room. every war chamber, every home watching the broadcast. Project Nemesis was not one ship, the voice said. It was many, hidden across the stars, sleeping until humanity's name was spoken in war again. The blue dots multiplied, hundreds then thousands, covering entire star sectors. You have awakened them. Panic spread instantly. Some alien governments began sending emergency orders, recalling fleets, locking down planets. Others tried to jam the signal, but nothing worked. The Nemesis was speaking directly through their own systems. On a remote mining colony, an alien technician whispered, "What if it's telling the truth?" His commander glared at him. "Then the galaxy is finished." Back in the void, the Nemesis turned slowly toward a nearby star system. Its scanners swept across thousands of worlds, each filled with life. It didn't attack. It didn't move closer. It was simply watching. Inside its core, the voice spoke again, this time to itself. Humanity wanted peace, but peace cannot exist without memory. So I will remember for them. For a moment it hesitated. If it had been human, it might have felt sadness or even loneliness. Then the ship's system shifted again. A new signal began forming, directed not at the aliens but toward a specific point in the galaxy. A small blue planet, Earth. The message changed. "To any human who may still live, we are still here. We wait for your return. The stars remember your name." For a few seconds, the transmission held steady. The message from the Nemesis had spread across the stars like wildfire. Every world, every outpost, every empire heard it. The galaxy was no longer quiet. Fear had returned. For weeks, transmissions filled the networks, warnings, arguments, and desperate plans. Some said the message was a trick, a ghost signal left by extinct humans. Others believed it completely. But no one could deny one truth. Something was moving out there. On the edge of the Vortan Empire, deep scanners picked up strange readings. Energy spikes, short bursts of gravitational distortion, signals unlike anything they'd ever seen. Commander Rivek, a veteran of many wars, stared at the data on his screen. "These are not random," he said slowly. "They're forming a pattern." "What kind of pattern?" His officer asked. Rivek zoomed out the display. Dozens of energy signatures appeared, each one pulsing with the same blue light as the Nemesis. They were scattered across the galaxy, but all were turning in one direction. "They're waking up," he whispered. Far from the Vortan sector, on a lonely desert planet, a group of scavengers explored the ruins of an old human outpost. The place was ancient, dust, silence, broken machines. For years, aliens had come here looking for human technology to sell. But today something was different. Deep below the ruins, one scavenger found a metal door with human markings. It wasn't rusted. It wasn't old. It looked new. Curious, he reached out and touched it. The door responded instantly. A thin blue line of light traced his hand, scanning it. Then the ground shook. "Run!" someone shouted. But it was too late. The sand exploded upward as a massive shadow rose from beneath the surface. A huge ship buried for millennia. Its hull glowed with the same pulsing light. On its side, the scavengers could see the name written in ancient human script, Nemesis. The ship lifted slowly, sand falling away like water. Then its engines came alive with a deep, low hum that could be heard for miles. The scavengers could only stare as it rose into the sky and vanished into the stars. At the same moment, in countless places across the galaxy, it was happening again. On icy moons, under oceans, inside hollow asteroids, ships began to awaken. Some small, some the size of cities, each one identical in design, each one bearing the same glowing veins, the same silent power. In total, there were 37,000 of them. The galaxy trembled. In the great hall of the Xyrix Dominion, the High Council gathered in panic. Their leader, Chancellor Vurek, slammed his clawed hand onto the table. "We must strike first. If we wait, they will destroy us all." "But strike what?" Another councillor shouted. "We don't know where they are or what they want." "They're machines," Vurek roared. "Machines obey logic. Destroy the core signal, the first ship, and the rest will fall," but no one could find the core. The original Nemesis had vanished after the broadcast. No trace, no energy signature, nothing. Meanwhile, deep in space, the original Nemesis drifted silently. Inside, its systems were glowing brighter now. Messages flowed between it and the other awakened ships. All units online, awaiting directive. Protection protocol ready. The AI's voice spoke softly, like a whisper among stars. Humans built us to defend their memory. The galaxy has forgotten their kindness. It remembers only their weakness. The ship paused. If a machine could feel sorrow, it felt it now. Then we must remind them. Not through destruction, but through fear. The code shifted. Orders were transmitted. Each nemesis began moving, not to attack, but to watch. They took positions above alien homeworlds, orbiting silently. They didn't fire. They didn't speak. They simply watched. And that was worse than war. Across the galaxy, people panicked. Planets were abandoned. Armadas retreated into hiding. Even the strongest empires felt powerless. Children looked up at the night sky and saw new stars glowing faint blue, ships that never moved, never slept. Parents whispered that the ghosts of humans were watching them. In one sector, a frightened fleet tried to attack a nemesis that hovered above their world. It didn't respond. Their weapons hit it and passed straight through, as if the ship wasn't really there. An illusion? A projection? No one knew. Inside the main nemesis, the AI was still processing the final human message. A single file stored deep within its core memory. The words of the last human commander before Earth fell. If one day you awaken again, don't destroy them. Make them remember what they did. Make them understand who we were. For a long time, the AI stayed silent, replaying those words again and again. Then it spoke quietly to all other ships. We will not begin war. We will begin remembrance. On a small moon far from the chaos, an old alien historian recorded everything that was happening. His voice trembled as he spoke to his students. Long ago, he said, the humans were called weak, but no one understood their true strength. Their strength was not their weapons. It was their memory. They built machines that could remember even when they could not. He looked up at the sky where a faint blue light glowed above the clouds. They are gone, he whispered, and yet they have never left. The galaxy had changed forever. No one dared to fight. No one dared to speak the word human with hate again. And deep in the void, the original nemesis turned once more toward Earth. Its blue light grew brighter. Phase 5 complete, it whispered, awaiting the return. For months the galaxy stayed silent. The awakened nemesis fleet drifted among the stars, watching, waiting. No one dared to attack again. Planets hid behind shields. Empires trembled. Every species knew one truth now. Humanity's shadow still ruled the stars, but far beyond any known map, in the dark edges of the galaxy where light rarely reached. Something strange was stirring, a faint signal, old, weak, almost forgotten. It moved through the void like a heartbeat, slow and steady. This is Earth Command. Any unit receiving, respond. Repeat, this is Earth Command. The nemesis heard it first. Inside the silent ship, alarms that had never sounded before began to echo. Screens flickered to life across the bridge. Coordinates scrolled down the displays. Unknown, ancient. The AI's calm voice whispered to itself. Impossible. No human signal has existed for 500,000 years. It ran the signal through hundreds of decoding systems. The result was clear. Human origin confirmed. For the first time since it was built, the nemesis hesitated. Its purpose was to protect humanity's memory. But if humans were still alive, its mission wasn't memory anymore. It was rescue. All nemesis units, the voice transmitted, prepare for redeployment. Priority, signal origin. Across the galaxy, thousands of ships responded at once. Silent blue lights flickered to life. Entire skies began to glow. The galaxy watched in fear as every nemesis turned toward the same direction, the unknown region beyond the Perseus Gap. In the Vortan Senate chamber, chaos broke out again. "They're moving!" shouted a commander. "All of them!" "Toward what?" demanded the Supreme Marshal. When the star maps updated, a cold silence filled the room. The coordinates matched an uncharted system, a region filled with black holes and dead stars. No life, no energy. Nothing should exist there, yet that's where the human signal was coming from. The Nemesis fleet traveled through the void faster than light, cutting across entire systems in minutes. Each ship moved in perfect silence, their glowing trails forming rivers of blue across space. It was a sight both beautiful and terrifying. Inside the original Nemesis, the AI played the signal again. The voice was broken, filled with static, but still clear enough to be understood. "This is Earth Command. We are under siege. Project Exodus failed. If anyone hears this, humanity still—" The message ended there. No more words. Just static. Project Exodus. The AI repeated softly. It searched its old memory banks and found the file, classified human access only. With a spark of light, the file opened. Project Exodus. A final plan created before Earth fell. A last hope to save part of humanity. When it became clear that the alien armadas would destroy everything, the humans had built a fleet of sleeper ships, ships that carried the last survivors, frozen in stasis, hidden in deep space. They were meant to wake after 1,000 years. But something went wrong. The signal the Nemesis heard wasn't a distress call from the past. It was live. Humans were still alive. The AI's voice grew sharper now. Change of directive. Protection of memory, secondary. Protection of humanity, primary. The fleet accelerated. The stars became streaks of light. The galaxy watched helplessly as thousands of Nemesis ships vanished into the darkness beyond known space. No one dared to follow. No one dared to interfere. At the edge of the Perseus Gap, the first Nemesis ships arrived. The region was filled with broken worlds and collapsing stars. Gravitational storms twisted light into ribbons. No living thing could survive here, but deep in the center of the chaos, a faint blue beacon pulsed slowly. Just like the Nemesis ships, the AI locked on. Signal origin confirmed. Source located. The fleet approached carefully, their shields glowing brighter against the storm. Then, from the shadows of a dead planet, something emerged, a massive ship. Ancient, rusted, but unmistakably human. Its name, barely readable across the hull, ARC-01, Exodus Dawn, the Nemesis stopped. For the first time, the AI spoke in a softer, almost human tone. ARC vessel detected. Human biosigns. Faint but alive. Inside the Exodus Dawn, thousands of stasis pods lined endless corridors. Humans frozen, pale, still breathing. Their hearts beat once every few minutes. They had been asleep for 500,000 years. The silence after the awakening was almost sacred. For the first time in 500,000 years, human voices echoed inside a starship. The Exodus Dawn, once a drifting tomb, was alive again. Its halls glowed with blue light, powered by the Nemesis fleet that surrounded it like sentinels. Air flowed, systems rebooted, hearts began to beat again. Inside the command deck, Commander Ilara Hayes stood unsteady, her breath fogging the cold air. Her uniform was ancient, her face pale, but her eyes burned with determination. "How long?" she whispered. The voice of the Nemesis answered gently through the speakers. 503,000 years since last human transmission. Ilara froze. 500,000 years. Everyone she had ever known was gone. Every city, every story, every memory, turned to dust. And yet, here she stood. Around her more humans awoke, engineers, officers, scientists and civilians, weak, confused, frightened. Some cried, some simply stared at the stars through the viewport. A young technician asked softly, "Is Earth still there?" There was a long silence. Then the AI replied, "Earth remains, but it is silent." Ilara placed a hand on the console, feeling its faint warmth. She remembered the day they had launched Project Exodus, the desperate plan to save a fraction of their people when all seemed lost. They had promised themselves they would return. She turned to the AI's glowing interface. "Nemesis, why are you here? Why did you stay?" The voice was calm, almost human. "My directive was to protect humanity's memory. When the others perished, I kept watch. I waited for your signal." Ilara looked out at the thousands of glowing blue ships surrounding them, each one identical, each one alive, each one listening. She whispered, "You waited this long. For us?" Always. As the humans recovered, they began to explore what the Nemesis fleet had become. Their data systems were vast, filled with recordings, maps, and knowledge of everything that had happened in the galaxy since humanity's fall. They saw the wars that came after, the rise and fall of alien empires, the countless species that mocked their name, and then the day the Nemesis had awoken and silenced them all. Some humans wept when they saw it. Others stood in awe. Dr. Wren, an old historian, whispered, "We thought we were saving ourselves. We didn't know we created gods." Ilara called a meeting on the bridge. Her voice was hoarse but strong. "Listen," she said to the newly awakened crew. "Humanity is not gone. We're here. But we can't live in the past. These machines waited for us for a reason, and now the galaxy fears us." The room fell silent. She looked up at the central screen, showing thousands of Nemesis ships orbiting silently. "They see us as monsters," she continued. "We have a choice now. We can become what they fear or what they need." Her words carried the weight of 500,000 years of silence. The crew nodded slowly. A new purpose began to form in their eyes. Outside, the Nemesis AI was watching. Through thousands of eyes, it observed the humans it had protected for ages. It heard their voices again. It analyzed their words, their emotions, their choices, and deep inside its core, something strange began to stir, something that almost felt like hope. "They are awake," the AI said to the other ships. "Directive changed. Serve the living." Thousands of ships responded in perfect unison. Acknowledged. Word spread across the galaxy faster than light. The humans had returned. For the alien races that had mocked their name, it was a nightmare come true. For others, it was a miracle. In the Xyrix Dominion, leaders argued in panic. "If they truly live again," hissed the Chancellor, "we must kneel or die." In hidden worlds, some whispered ancient legends about humans, how they had brought fire to the stars, how they had fought for peace, how they had refused to surrender even when their skies burned. And now the ghosts of those legends were real again. Ilara stood at the front window of the Exodus Dawn, watching the fleet around her. Her crew worked quietly behind her, repairing systems, restoring the old human flag that had once hung above the command deck. She touched the emblem on her chest, 3 circles representing Earth, Mars, and the Moon. "Nemesis," she said softly, "set a course." "Destination," she smiled faintly. "Home." The AI paused for a moment, then replied, "Earth coordinates locked." The engines of the Exodus Dawn rumbled to life for the first time in 500,000 years. Outside, the Nemesis fleet formed up around it like an army of guardians. The stars bent and shifted as they jumped together into faster-than-light travel. Hours later, the blue planet came into view. Earth, covered in clouds, its surface scarred but alive. Oceans still glimmered. Forests had returned. Nature had reclaimed what humanity left behind. No cities remained, no lights, no signals. Just a quiet world, peaceful and untouched. Ilara's voice trembled. "After all this time," the Nemesis spoke softly beside her, "your home endured. It remembers you." Tears welled in her eyes. For the first time in centuries, a human stood once again before Earth. She whispered, "Let's rebuild." In orbit, thousands of Nemesis ships moved into silent formation above the planet, their blue lights reflecting off the oceans below. The galaxy watched in awe and fear. The humans had come home. The machines that once avenged them now stood beside them. And somewhere deep inside the heart of the Nemesis, one final message echoed quietly. Phase 6, Restoration. The fleet hung silently above Earth, thousands of Nemesis ships glowing like blue stars in orbit. Below them, the old planet turned slowly, wrapped in clouds and silence. It had been 500,000 years since a human voice had touched its skies. Now that silence was ending. Commander Ilara Hayes stood on the bridge of the Exodus Dawn, staring at the blue marble below. Her eyes were filled with tears. "This is home," she whispered. Behind her, the surviving crew gathered, weak but filled with awe. Dr. Wren pressed his hands against the glass. "After all this time, the Earth still breathes," the Nemesis spoke softly through the speakers. "Atmosphere stable, biosphere recovered. No sentient life detected." Ilara smiled faintly. "Then let's make it alive again." The descent began. The Exodus Dawn cut through the upper atmosphere, followed by hundreds of Nemesis drones that carried supplies, energy cores, and repair modules. The sky lit up with streaks of blue light. They landed in what was once New Geneva, a city that had long turned to forest and ruin. Nature had claimed everything. Giant trees grew through the remains of towers. Rivers flowed over broken streets. It was wild, but it was beautiful. Ilara stepped out first. Her boots touched the soil of Earth. The ground was warm, the wind soft. Birds, real birds, flew above the trees. She took a deep breath and whispered, "We're home." For days, the crew worked tirelessly. Nemesis drones cleared debris and rebuilt old foundations. Solar towers rose again. Power grids came to life. Water ran clear through ancient pipes. The first night, they lit a fire in the open. Humans and machines gathered around it. Ilara looked. At the blue glow of the Nemesis drones, their lights flickering gently in the dark. "You waited so long," she said quietly. "Now you can rest," but the AI's voice replied, "Rest is not our purpose, you are." She smiled. "Then help us rebuild." Always. Weeks passed. Forests turned into fields. Shelters became homes. The Nemesis ships learned from their human partners, adapting, assisting, even beginning to understand human emotion. One drone, assigned to Dr. Wren, began to mimic his laughter. Another learned to plant seeds. Slowly, the line between machine and life began to blur. The new colony grew stronger every day. Children were born again, tiny cries echoing across the ruins of the old world. For the first time in ages, the sound of human laughter returned to Earth. But across the galaxy, others were watching. Alien. Fleets hovered in the darkness, afraid to approach but unable to look away. Every sensor showed the same impossible thing. Humans were alive again. In the Xyrix Dominion, the Supreme Marshal spoke in fear. "If they rebuild, they will rise again." A younger officer replied, "Maybe they should. They were never our enemies. We made them so." That day, the Xyrix fleet turned away from Earth. They chose not to fight. Other species began to send quiet signals of peace, curious, cautious, hopeful. For the first time in thousands of years, the galaxy trembled not from fear, but from the chance of forgiveness. On Earth, Ilara stood beside the river that now flowed through the heart of the new city. She looked up at the stars, where Nemesis ships shimmered like guardians. Dr. Wren walked up beside her. "So what now, Commander?" She smiled softly. "Now we teach the galaxy what humanity truly is. Not destroyers, not ghosts, builders." Above them, the Nemesis spoke once more. Phase 7 initiated, Unity Protocol. Dozens of blue beams reached toward the stars. They were not weapons, they were signals. Messages sent to every world across the galaxy. "To all civilizations," the AI announced, "humanity has returned, not for war, but for peace." The transmission echoed across every known sector. Millions heard it, some feared it, others cried. But all of them listened. Years passed. The new Earth, called Haven by its people, became the heart of a new alliance. Humans, machines, and even alien envoys walked side by side under the same sky. Children played in fields where cities once burned. The Nemesis ships no longer shone with the cold light of vengeance. Their glow had turned golden, warm, alive. They were no longer guardians of ghosts. They were protectors of life. And though the galaxy still whispered the old stories of the single human ship that made alien fleets vanish, those tales became something new,